Neil, there's a trader's note. Richard Breslow says, quote, "Stop pretending that you care about the world ending." Do you agree with that?
Well, I have to say, over the Labor Day weekend, it's been interesting, even in Asia, to see how relaxed they are. I think that the South Korean index fell just over 1% on this sort of escalation from North Korea. So, and it's one of the best performing markets this year. So, if you'd had a reason to take some profits, you certainly had one on Monday morning in Asia, and they didn't really get stuck into it. So, I think at the moment, people feel there's bluff on both sides. The North Koreans haven't really got anything, I would say, to threaten Japan or the US seriously, and I think everyone assumes that Trump is all talk at the moment, because the losses or the consequences of a defense or a strike on North Korea could be so apocalyptic to South Korea.
But on the margin, do you need to de-risk? So the asset classes that have done really well, like emerging markets, like high yield, you need to get into gold. Like on the margin, do you do that?
Well, I would say on the margin we have been doing that. I think what has been interesting is you were mentioning in your earlier comments, I would perceive the dollar to be a safe haven in this circumstance. It's been, in the last 3 months, it's not been a safe haven, which would suggest to me that maybe global positioning, everyone who wanted the dollar has got it, and maybe at the margin people are now feeling that maybe America's coming down to the level of everybody else, in which case some of the over-positioning in US dollar assets is beginning to seep out into other parts of the world.
So, Tony, it turns out, despite our best planning, we had the wrong issue. The president now has tweeted out, and what he's concerned about is DACA. He's just tweeted out, Congress, get ready to do your job. DACA, D-A-C-A, which is his Dreamers Act issue. He wants Congress to act on that. But come back to North Korea just for a moment. Is it right to say that this is just bluffing in this sense? They apparently have now tested a hydrogen bomb. We have underestimated North Korea's capability with both ICBMs and their nuclear program at every juncture. They've been ahead of where we thought they'd be. Should we be concerned they may continue to be ahead of where we think they are?
Well, geopolitical issues more generally are constant for the financial markets, and you can look back decades and you'll find strife in various parts of the world at various times. And markets seem to look right through that, because in the end what they care about is the movement of capitalism within the nations that investors are investing in. So for markets, they tend to turn a blind eye to it. In terms of the North Korea issue, many would say that China has received the deal of the century, perhaps, in exchanging help on North Korea for the U.S. patience on trade and FX policy. And you haven't seen the Trump administration, for example, take actions that it said it would against China. What one needs, perhaps, is patience with China in dealing behind the scenes, because it tends to be very methodical about its actions and tries to be quiet. And who really knows? Because it's really at the very high level, call it President Xi Jinping of China, that this is the real action is taking place. But again, the idea of constancy on geopolitical issues is something markets are used to.